I rise to give support to the bill before this Honourable House, as I also second the motion, second the mover of the bill entitled the Official Gazette Bill 2023. Now, Madam Speaker, I know this may not seem like a very exciting bill, but I'm actually very excited about the modernization of this Gazette Bill. And the reason for that is, I actually have a personal frustration when I actually found out that the Gazette was not online. So since I came into office, I settled into my office, which is located in the Cable Building, right next to the Ministry of Education. I would be getting, I think ministers typically get the Gazette. It comes rolled up. Well, I don't know, I get it. Cold rolled up like this. Every week. They send it every week like this. When I first got it, I was like, what is this? What is this? I opened it, pages of the Gazette, Madam Speaker. And I'm like, why are they sending this to me? I don't understand. Is this not online? Why are they sending it? I haven't requested it. And I let the thought go. I said, okay, maybe this is just, standard practice for the government. And then it kept coming. And I have now in my office stacks of this Gazette that comes to find out that it's actually not online. And it was affirmed to me again when I actually needed to consult the Gazette to figure out some appointments from boards in past years for a particular board. And so, I sought some assistance. I said, can you check to find out when the appointment of this board was a few years ago in the Gazette? They said, no, it's not online, so you'd actually have to go back and find the date and give some information. I said, well, ain't nobody got time for that. When I could do a simple search online, why is it not online? And so, I had to go and had to figure out, and it was affirmed to me that the Gazette was not online. And I was very frustrated with this. So when the AG came and said that we have an official Gazette bill, I was very excited for the modernization. It's important, Madam Speaker. It's important because, as we note, the Gazette is an official government publication for the purpose of notifying the actions and decisions of the government. It is also a source of information for the various matters emanating from both the public sector and the private sector. And that's quoted from the AG in terms of the purpose of the official Gazette. Now, we know the Gazette really communicates the messages of national importance to the general public. And so it is very important that it is accessible. And Madam Speaker, the benefit of us modernizing the official Gazette and making sure that it is accessible online. Of course, we heard from the Honourable AG that it better facilitates the widespread dissemination and greater access of this very important piece of government communication. It ensures that we are able to access it from various means, even if we're not in the Federation. What if I was, living in the diaspora? How am I going to walk to the printry to ask for them to print it? That makes no sense. So it is good to see that we are digitizing, and of course, there's also benefits for the environment. I'm going to take each of these piece by piece. So when we talk about facilitating widespread dissemination and greater access, for me, as the Minister of Youth and as the youthful minister, part of the vision for us is to ensure that we empower young people so that they are a lot more civic-minded. And, to be civic-minded, we want to make sure that we orient them towards government business from sources that are credible, not just, being on Facebook and seeing all the different various I'm not going to call the names, but all of the various non-official news sources. We want to make sure that young people and the youth of the Federation are able to access the important decisions of the government, of the Federation that impact them, so that they can be informed fully about what is happening in terms of our development and our future. And so, of course, when we're talking about the youth of this generation, we have the different generations. So we have the millennials, of which I am part, and this is, speaks to people in the age 28 to 42, people born from 1980 to 1994. We have the Gen Zs, and these Gen Zs is who we really need to be catering to. Right. So, like the honorable member for number 2, her son. So the Gen Zs. Now, these are the people who have been exposed to social media from birth, right? They're coping with things like cyberbullying and other internet-related issues. These are the people born 1992 to 2012. Then, of course, we cannot forget, we have to start thinking about them, the Gen Alphas. These are the people born 2013 and forward, up to present. This is the generation that's actually born to parents who grew up with the internet, cell phones, tablets, social media. So we have 2 generations that are alive and well, and their familiarity, their understanding of how we access the world, how we move about in the world, is through the internet and online. Now, you want to tell me, Madam Speaker, that without this bill that's before us, these Gen Zs, by the end of our first 5 years in government, that the Gen Alphas say they would have been a youth parliamentarian by the time they get to youth parliament and they want to consult the Gazette. I imagine they cannot even imagine having to walk to a printery to ask them to print a piece of paper so that they can read and understand the decisions of government. It wouldn't even be a thought. It would not even be a thought. Sure. And so, Madam Speaker, I say all of this to highlight that having the Gazette online, modernizing it, ensuring that its access is more widespread through the availability of publications on online platforms such as the website, is actually, in fact, it is prime time for us to do so. And it will actually ensure that we are no longer behind the times when it comes to the way that we communicate and the way that we ensure that there is access to government information to allow for the transparency that we talk about and the good governance that we talk about. So I'm very pleased, Madam Speaker. I look forward to being able to go online to gazette.gov.kn, is that correct, Honorable AG? To make sure that, so when I want to search for a publication of a board that was appointed in 2015, I can just search for the name of the board and the year and pop, there it is, and not have to go through tons and tons and tons and tons of leaflets of gazettes that have been printed. So I am grateful for that benefit that we will see with the enactment of this bill. Now, Madam Speaker, the AG would have cited the percentage of our population that has access to the internet. And this is just, I don't want to belabor the point, but I'm going to belabor it in terms of making sure that we increase the access with this modernization. 81% of the population, that's very significant, and that was only in 2017. This is 2023 now. That was before the pandemic. During the pandemic, everybody would have had to go online. And so this is really the space and the place of where business is being done. And the modernization of the Gazette and ensuring that it is available online is actually in line with this government and this administration's thrust to digitize, to have e-government. And so, we are pulling at the low-hanging fruits right now. But of course, this is very much in line with our developmental thrust and where we want to go. And so I welcome and I fully support this bill before the Honorable House, the official Gazette bill for its modernization and digitization. And of course, Madam Speaker, finally, this is a point that we cannot forget. In your opening remarks, you would have mentioned just how eco-friendly we are going. Digitization is better for the environment. We cannot forget that. Madam Speaker, if you recall, climate action and environment is one of the 7 pillars that are of priority for this administration. And so, of course, we need to be climate smart in the way that we do our business and in the way that we communicate and use technology. And of course, you can see that we're doing it, the small efforts we're making, removing plastics. All ministers, we use devices here because we are, I don't want to say we are anti-paper, but we try to limit the use of paper because we recognize, when you use less paper, you save more trees. And we need the trees, Madam Speaker, we need the trees to heal the ozone layer. That's a fact, right, Minister, Dr. Clark? So this digitization, this bill, is also very good for the environment. It's not only good for access and to ensure that we can all access government information and government decisions from an official source, more widespread, but it's also good for the environment, because there'll be less printing and less paper, Madam Speaker. So it's good sense for all of us in all ways. And I know sometimes some people might think, well, when you place things online, then there are concerns over the use of online platforms, because they may be susceptible to things like hacking, or to reduce the integrity of the source of things like this. But one of the things that I want to highlight and commend the drafter of the bill is that there are provisions in this bill to ensure that we have some sort of boundaries around, whether we can, around the offenses and penalties. There are offenses and penalties included in this bill to ensure that we maintain the integrity of government publication. Because, of course, there's always the potential that when something goes online, that it can be illegally replicated. But within this bill, there are provisions to ensure that that is not done, and so that we can maintain the integrity of the information that is dispersed by the government, which is the ultimate authority of the Gazette. And so, Madam Speaker, I don't want anyone to be too overly concerned about shifting online, but that is the place where we are. That's the way we have to be. That's where business is being done. And so I am very pleased to support the passing of this bill in this honorable House, because the benefits exceed any of the potential negative or impacts that we might even think to consider. And I couldn't really think of too many, because like I said, this is very welcome, and we're actually a little bit behind the time. So for the Gen Zs and the Alphas, this is for you. It's okay. So with that, Madam Speaker, may it please you.